Greetings, YouTube. Where my beholder? Good time for a gaming video. So I saw something on a thread the other day. I can't remember what board it was on, which forum. The person was talking about the age disparity between numerous races in the fantasy world. Mostly the largest disparity between the races of man would be between humans and or half-orcs and elves. But that also holds for science fiction races. I've seen numerous science fiction races in my day that could live to be over 1,000 years old. In D&D, an elf, if with the right kind of magic, can live to be 1,000 years old, maybe older. While a human is going to max out at like 110, 115. So how does that change the social and political attitudes of elves or other long-lived races in a science fiction setting and with humans? And I know that there are some effects in the game where you can actually become essentially immortal. There's one where you become a golem, but it was the emerald something or other, but it's like if you hit 0 hit points, you die. So yeah, not a great choice in my book. It's a prestige class. But there are other races that essentially have no age limits. They're going to keep going until something kills them, or maybe they lose their sanity, or whatever happens first. Maybe they'll get to a point where they want to die. But he said that in his world, the elves are very distant. They have a lot of disdain for humans because they don't see the reason or the purpose in becoming emotionally attached to humans. They keep humans at a distance because for them, a human is like the lifespan of a frog or dealing with a terminally ill person. Now, I take reservation at the concept of comparing a human life to that of a frog. Humans are fully sapient beings, and frogs are not. Frogs are fairly sentient. I mean, they'll go after little red dots of cloth, pieces of cloth, if you know how to do it right. But the terminally ill example isn't far off. I mean, if say you have a situation like the flooding in New Orleans, if you had a choice in a hospital between saving a 20-year-old healthy person who just happened to have 2 broken legs or a 70-year-old person who's got 7 months to live, who are you going to save? It's not that you don't value that other person's life, but they're going to die soon. Whereas this other person could have 50, 60, 70 more years ahead of them. And they can heal from this easily, especially at that age. So for an elf, becoming emotionally engaged with a human is a lot like becoming emotionally engaged with a terminally ill person. And if you ask people that work at hospices, that's tough. My mom works on a ward where the retirees come to die. It's the final stop. There's nothing else after this. They stay there and they're taken care of comfortably until they pass. And that's a massive emotional burden on everyone that works there. I don't know how she does it. But in a lot of ways, that's what life would be like for an elf when interacting with humans. Now, I'm only 52 years old, but I can tell you, I have experienced in a very small way that sense of, oh, they're X old now? Because I can remember with great detail, vivid memories, my friends' toddlers, some of whom are approaching 25 now. Most of them are getting to the point where they either have their learner permits or their driver's licenses. And that literally was, oh. Now imagine you're an elf and you're talking to a person who's 20. And then for you, a really brief, short span of time passes. And now you're talking to a 7-year-old. You might even be confused. Why have you changed so much? Because elves don't change that fast. That could confuse elves. A day is like an hour for an elf. A month like a week. A year like a single season. And humans age so very, very fast. So how do the elves and the other long-lived races in fantasy or science fiction, how do they come to grips with that? How do they deal with becoming emotionally involved with people who are, as far as they're concerned, going to be gone like that? How do the humans do it? Is there a lot of jealousy there? Knowing if the person you're involved with right now on any level, emotional, friendship, romantic, sexual, nemesis, doesn't matter. They're going to outlive you. Think about that for a second. You've got an elven nemesis, and you're one of the races that doesn't live as long. And if you don't kill them in your time, your lifespan, your children, your grandchildren may have to keep that vendetta going. By that time, they may not care. And all they have to do is wait, and you're going to die. They don't have to do anything except laugh. So how does that affect your game? And I'm sorry to say that I've never really played that up because the campaigns are almost always on the scale of human lives. I think the longest in-game time span we ever had was something like 15 years. So that's a long time in-game, but 15 years is nothing to an elf. Nothing. Just imagine sentencing an elf to prison. Now, admittedly, depending on the prison atmosphere itself may have a detrimental effect to an elf's psyche. A lot of times elves are portrayed as being partially fey or very deeply connected to the world, nature, things like that. I've always kind of viewed elves as having different cultures. Some of them are completely urban. Some of them are the high elves that built the great elven cities. But some have completely integrated them into cosmopolitan societies, and some live out in the woods and the trees. That's kind of how I tend to break them down, those three major groups. And of course, there are going to be subgroups for that as well. But you sentence an elf to 15 years in prison. And they're like, all right. Because it doesn't matter to them. 15 years is nothing. It's like, what, 3 to a human? So they don't worry about it. They don't have to worry about it. I don't really have an ending to this in the sense that I haven't come to some grand conclusion. But I just wanted to talk about this and get a conversation going about how we've handled this and how you think elves would react, or other long-lived races react, in a world where humans and other races are really short-lived, like the goblins and the kobolds, for example. And if you're running a game where humans are it's not human-centric, so humans are not the most populist race, maybe there's more variety, which I've always preferred. I like to have humans be just one among the races, not necessarily the ones in power. Elves are going to still be rare because they don't breed as often. Their gestation periods are longer, and their lives are longer. So there isn't that impetus to breed. And my dwarves are matriarchal societies that have multiple husbands, so that's a different structure as well. So tell me, how do you handle that age difference? What do you do with it? And can humans and other long-lived races ever really connect on some meaningful way?